You can try out MetaQuest Plus with a 1-month free trial. MetaQuest Plus is your cheap ticket to an expansive list of VR goodies. For just $8 a month or $60 a year, you're treated to a huge list of quality VR titles. There's Aspire, a game where you play as a robot with a huge emphasis on stealth and combat. It's a big recommendation for me. But wait, that's not all. Until You Fall, this beautiful vaporwave roguelike with the most gorgeous art style and extremely addictive swordplay. Tetris Effect Connected. You guys might think this is just meta telling me to talk good, but no, I genuinely love Tetris Effect Connected. I've poured hours into it. It's phenomenal. This is a fraction of the full game's catalog. While obviously this is sponsored, I was strictly told not to lie and be honest. Being honest, this game library is so good, and for $8 a month, you guys need to get on this. If there's one thing you should know about me, it's that I am an avid Sonic fan. Regardless of any inconsistencies when it comes to quality, at this point, I'm all along for the ride. It just is what it is at this point. Nowadays, gaps between game releases can get longer and longer, and it's fair to get a little antsy in between said releases. The gap between Forces and Frontiers was 5 years. That's absurd. At least we're not computers. They had to wait 30 years to get the color blue, so it could be worse. During this stretch of time, it's easy to want some cheap thrills and joyrides, and luckily, Sonic fan games are here to fill that quota. But what defines a fan game? I actually don't care, so I'm just gonna say a game made by a fan. Let's not get too philosophical. I don't get paid enough for that kind of detail. You all know them, and you all love them, even when you shouldn't. Popular games in this category consist of Sonic Robo Blast 2, Sonic After the Sequel, third example, Sonic Omens. Nope, let's just keep it to 3. Most fan games range greatly in quality, scope, ambition, all of that, which keeps it in line with the consistency of real Sonic games. I'm sorry, that was cheap, I know, I'm sorry. I may or may not like some of these games, and that's just okay, because many people do. I can look at these games from multiple viewpoints and admire the game in different ways. I don't enjoy Sonic Robo Blast 2, sue me, but that's not gonna stop me from understanding why people might like it, and that's fine. Most of these games were made out of love, and you can see that just by looking at them, because God, are they beautiful. But I digress. You all read the title. I'm here to talk about a fan game that I hold very near and dear to my heart. Sonic GT. It was the year 2020 and the world was in lockdown because of Robitussin, and what did we have? Aside from death, we had Sage 2020. Another annual event where Sonic fan game creators band together to make stuff that mostly isn't even Sonic related. I jest. But no, seriously, what's up with that? Sage is a yearly event where Sonic fan games are mass dumped on the public at once, and it's given us some gems. Just recently, we received Sonic Rush 3D and Project Reignition, two beautiful creations that I hold nothing but respect for. But back in the ripe old year of 2020, there was but one game that caught my eye. It was during the 1-week-long drive across the country to move to Vegas where I laid me eyes upon Sonic GT for the first time. I played it, and I've never been the same since. That's probably a bad thing. Anyways, where to start? I have a lot to say, and the only way I've been able to focus on one point at a time on this script is because of Adderall, my beloved. We might as well start with the story mode because it's a decent enough gateway and is very simple to explain. Sonic finds Mighty, yes that Mighty, buried in sand in the beautiful beachside area of Ocean Paradise as he's surrounded by badniks, which he promptly defeats. Once free, Mighty tells Sonic that Ray, yes that Ray, has been captured by Eggman. Alongside Tails, they set off to rescue Ray from the clutches of Eggman. I'm not gonna go through many story beats because I'd rather you just play it yourself, but what I will linger on is the fact that I adore this writing. It's managed to capture that essence of charm in the series. Writing I don't think it's been replicated since the Adventure era. A quick little editor's note, I stand corrected. Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog was really good, but aside from that, which barely counts, yeah, the Adventure era writing. I get some people will argue that the characterization isn't nearly on point. Sonic may act slightly out of character, but I gotta be honest, I'm tired of pretending that someone being out of character in special scenarios is necessarily a bad thing. Regardless, Sonic and the entire cast is rather faithful to the source material. These writers clearly know their stuff. I especially love Sonic's pettiness towards Shadow. It's genuinely funny and different from a lot of depictions of their rivalry. Sonic groans at the thought of Shadow, and I think it's great here. Anyway, the writing here is beautiful, enough said. Now, the actual game. Oh boy. First off, there are only 4 stages in this game. However, said stages are absolutely massive and can be tackled in many different ways. These stages are Ocean Paradise, Hilltop, Sunset Boulevard, and Hidden Base. These stages are incredible and I'll touch on them individually in a bit, but for now let me find a good way to transition to the next talking point because this is a hard script to write, guys. I didn't write this in the script, and I'm so mad at myself that I didn't, but please God, let me talk about the music real quick. The music in Sonic GT is something that the Sonic series hasn't really done before. It's this strange mixture of different genres, and ooh, it scratches just this itch. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm sorry if I'm stuttering over myself. I'm not great unscripted, believe me. But oh my goodness, the scope, the ambience, the vibes of these tracks are genuinely mind-blowing, and they are some of my favorite songs out of the entire franchise, and they're not even official. And that's not even like GT bias. Like, if this was from any game, I would be praising it. I actually really quickly want to play you a snippet of Hilltop. Now, this song I do think is the best in the game. It's the most recognized from the game. It is the most popular, so this is a very basic pick, but believe me, this whole soundtrack is beautiful. There's not a bad song here. It is pure quality all the way through. The final boss is great. Ocean Paradise is great. All of them are great. All of them are great. Let's get that out of the way. I adore this soundtrack so much. Everybody who worked on it, just big pat on the back. Jesus. I love this soundtrack with all my heart. I genuinely do. I think Hilltop Zone is like a top 3 Sonic series song for me. I mean that wholeheartedly. Anyways, back to the script. It's hard to talk about one thing without mentioning another, and actually that's a good point. Sonic's controls and movement are so closely tied to the levels themselves that it's hard to mention the intricacies of each level without mentioning how Sonic controls in them. We might as well talk about that then. Sonic's movement. Getting it out of the way, GT is a rather floaty game. Controversial, I know, but let me tell you why in this scenario, that isn't necessarily a bad thing at all. You see, a common complaint with these types of games is that, spoiler alert, you can make Sonic soar. As in, soar over a majority of the stage, which on paper trivializes most of the level design. This is a common complaint with any floaty Sonic fan games and even official ones. I know I've seen backlash for Shadow Generation Spear Glide because of how it's just skipping over the level, which I'll get to that later because I've got a few choice words with that sentiment. Hey, it's me again, editing Zach. I never touched on this. I just lied here, my fault. The reason why I don't see a problem with soaring over the level in GT is because, well, to put it bluntly, it's not really a problem. Okay, here we go. First off, you have to earn this speed. It's not like you can get a small running start and then leap into the air, no. No, this speed must be earned by your mastery of Sonic's moveset, taking advantage of momentum, and knowledge of the stage layout. If you get all 3 of those down, you can become a speed demon and yes, in fact, soar. This problem of soaring over the stage is massively over-exaggerated, however. I think there's an inherent stigma against being airborne a lot in a Sonic game, and I think that's silly. Sonic GT was made fully with this more airborne Sonic in mind, thus creating levels that play around this movement of his. To get airborne, you must first earn speed. There are no dash pads in GT, there are 0, meaning that your ability to gain speed is fully independent on you and your knowledge of a stage. Any bump, curve, or anything like that in the stage can and will be used to gain or lose speed. You are given full control to interact with every nook and cranny of these stages, and you are expected to take advantage of that. Every second you're thinking, how can I use this piece of the stage to my advantage? And that's what changes the game here. If you don't like being airborne, that's fine. It's totally okay for this to just not be your thing, but to push it off just because of that is naive and ignorant. Sonic Roboblast 2 is a game where you're airborne a lot and are given opportunities to soar over the level. However, people aren't really going to point that out simply because it's SRB2. Not dogging on Roboblast 2, by the way. Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk more about Sonic himself. As you've noticed, this is a fast game. One with complete freedom and no chains. Momentum is the name of the game here. It exists in a lot of other Sonic games, official or not, but here it's more than a keyword. Proper use of momentum physics is often the deciding factor in how well you do in a stage or not. The main way you'll be gaining momentum is by rolling downhill in loops. Pause! Wait a minute. Yes, loops serve a practical purpose here rather than a bit of flair. They are fully manual for one, and get this, help with speed. Believe it or not, loops did used to have a purpose in the Sonic franchise. They acted like a speed check for one, meaning if you came in stumbling and walking around like a drunk idiot, you wouldn't be allowed into the Cool Kids Club. However, if you came in with enough speed, you would do the loop and come out with more speed than you entered with. It was a reward, something that genuinely served a purpose as game design and not just flair. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against automation when it's done right. spectacle, dash pads, I truly have nothing wrong with that. When they are used right, it can be a great addition to the level, but when there's too much, it can do the opposite and hinder a level's enjoyment. And GT loops are back with that practical purpose. Come in with decent speed, exit with a boatload of it. The challenge now becomes a test. You've been given speed, but can you handle it? If no, you bump into something and slow down. If yes, call me Jeff Bezos the way the rich get richer. You'll just keep going faster and faster, dodging obstacles and making use of the stage's layout to gain even more speed. It just builds and builds, and the only limit to Sonic speed, essentially, is you. This makes for one of the most rewarding Sonic experiences ever because of one word. Flow. Yep, it's back. You all know how much flow means to me, and by God, this is Flow State, the game. I already said how you can just go faster and faster, but the thing is, there's nothing stopping you from keeping the whole time, because there is no automation. If you get that flow state going and you just keep on running, you won't stop. If you master a stage, not once will you get slowed down, the party just keeps going. It's an incredible sensation and one that isn't gained easily. No, you have to work for it. Let me wrap back to the stages themselves real quick. They are huge. Twists and turns and tons of path make for hugely replayable stages. They aren't just replayable because of the routes themselves, it's how you interact with them. That freedom I keep mentioning, because of it, you aren't bound to strictly one route, meaning you can mix and match them like a Bionicle. While there are still your traditional top and bottom routes, they no longer act strictly as an antithesis to each other. Most times, these routes will interconnect, and sometimes there will be multiple top routes. If you're on a top route, you might find out that hopping over to another mid-route will shave some seconds off your time. That's what I mean by proper mastery. You are constantly being rewarded for improvising and coming up with your own strategies and routes. While there are intended routes, how you choose to interact with them varies and depends on you. Oh yeah, I thought I should also talk more about Sonic's moveset. He's equipped with most stuff you expect: spin dash, homing attack, drop dash, and bounce. The spin dash is the spin dash, nothing crazy. The bounce actually works perfect here. Instead of bouncing on an incline and going straight up, you'll be sent in a direction accordingly to the spot of the incline you bounce on. This also, guess what, rewards you for mastering the stage layout. What? The homing attack is the best ever here. Absolutely great. So, you've got what you expect at first, tap jump again to hit a badnik and do a little rebound. However, if you hold it down while homing attacking a badnik, your momentum will be carried and you will do the 3D equivalent of a badnik bounce. It's brilliant. SRB2 has the badnik bounce, but because of the lack in homing attack, you often have to slow down a bit in the air to land straight on them, which, while technically requiring more skill, it does, I wouldn't say ruin the flow state, but it's just not for me. But here, the badnik bounce is baked right into the homing attack. It's perfect. Really aids in that flow state. I love the choice as well, so if you want the classic rebound, you can just do it. The drop dash, they really did go 4 for 4. I'm not exactly sure how it works in Mania, so if they do work identically, I'm sorry, I have not played Mania in a while. If you're airborne and charge the drop dash, the longer you charge it, the faster you'll go once you finally land. So if you soar high into the sky, once you reach the peak of your height, you can start charging it up. So by the time you land, you'll soar once more. Again, every single thing in this game works in unison. The stage, the moveset, it's all incredible. Oh yeah, there's also tons of secrets and collectibles. There's secret unlockable characters and whatnot, and it's all great fun. There's so much love, passion, and attention put into this game, and I can't help but smile whenever I play it. It feels freeing. Truly freeing, this game does. It feels like the embodiment of Sonic himself. No chains, no restraints, pure freedom. I know this ending might be a bit quick. It was hard to find a way to really wind down, but man, play Sonic GT. Also, the creator of the game is working on a Sonic-inspired game called Rolling Rascal, which is very similar to GT with what I've seen, so please check that out as well. Sonic GT is so amazing. I'm really just a broken record, but some things can't truly be spoken into a stupid little video essay. I can say all I want, but you won't feel the experience unless you yourself try it. And if you don't like it, so be it. But I would love it if you could all give this game a chance. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me your favorite Sonic fan game and what it makes it special to you. I also have a Discord server that I'm very active in, link in the description, and if you want to support me, I have a channel membership. All the money I make is currently going to help my family pay rent, so it would be much appreciated. This is all from me for now. See you next time. Peace.